fans say they're boycotting the upcoming World Cup games in the U.S.
The Chancellor of Germany has raised the idea of a potential World Cup boycott.
In 5 months, the world's biggest sporting event is supposed to begin across North America. Stadiums are ready. Broadcast deals worth billions of dollars are already signed. Airlines, hotels, and tourism agencies are preparing for one of the largest waves of international travel in sports history. The 2026 FIFA World Cup was designed to be the most ambitious tournament football has ever seen. 48 national teams, matches spread across dozens of cities in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, and a global audience expected to reach billions. But now, a quiet conversation inside international football has begun to change the atmosphere surrounding that tournament. It did not start with protests in the streets or dramatic announcements from world leaders. Instead, the disruption began with a few carefully chosen words spoken inside European football institutions. Those words raised a possibility that, until recently, almost no one believed would be seriously discussed. The possibility that some countries might reconsider taking part in the 2026 World Cup. Calls for a potential boycott are now being debated across parts of Europe. Politicians, football officials, and media commentators in several countries have begun questioning whether the tournament can truly remain separate from the political tensions that currently shape international relations. In the United Kingdom, discussions have emerged about whether England or Scotland should reconsider participation. In Germany, senior figures connected to football governance have suggested that the issue deserves serious debate. For decades, the World Cup has operated under a powerful assumption: the idea that football exists above politics, that the tournament represents a rare moment when rival nations come together in peaceful competition. FIFA, the global governing body of football, has consistently defended this principle, emphasizing that sport should unite people rather than reflect political disputes. Yet recent developments suggest that maintaining that separation may be becoming increasingly difficult. The 2026 tournament was originally presented as a celebration of football's expansion and economic power. It will be the first World Cup with 48 teams instead of the traditional 32. The event will stretch across 3 countries, with matches planned in major stadiums from Los Angeles to Toronto and Mexico City. FIFA projected record-breaking revenues from sponsorships, broadcasting rights, and ticket sales. Corporations across the world invested billions of dollars expecting the largest and most commercially successful World Cup ever organized. Within that financial structure, the presence of major football nations is essential. Countries such as Germany, England, France, Spain, and Italy are not only sporting powerhouses but also economic pillars of the global football market. When those teams play in the World Cup, television audiences across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas increase dramatically. Broadcasters plan programming schedules around those matches. Advertisers design entire campaigns expecting those teams to reach enormous audiences. That is why recent remarks from inside German football attracted such attention. A senior official connected to the German Football Association publicly stated that the idea of a boycott should not be dismissed without discussion. The statement did not announce any final decision. Germany has not declared it will refuse to participate in the 2026 tournament. However, even raising the possibility represented a significant shift in tone. Germany is one of the most influential nations in world football. The national team has won the World Cup 4 times and consistently attracts massive global viewership. The country also hosts one of the most successful domestic leagues in the sport, producing players who compete at the highest levels internationally. Because of that influence, when German officials suggest reconsidering participation in a World Cup, the global football community takes notice. The reference to historical precedent added further weight to the conversation. The German official mentioned previous Olympic boycotts during the Cold War, particularly the 1980 Olympic Games in Moscow. During that period, several countries refused to participate due to geopolitical tensions between major powers. Those events demonstrated that international sport has never been completely isolated from political realities. Inside FIFA headquarters, the official response remained calm and familiar. The organization repeated its long-standing message that football should remain politically neutral. FIFA emphasized that the World Cup is meant to bring nations together and celebrate the global popularity of the sport. Public statements from FIFA stressed cooperation, unity, and the universal nature of football. However, beyond public messaging, the financial and logistical structure of a World Cup is extremely complex. Broadcast agreements connected to the 2026 tournament are among the largest ever negotiated in sports history. Television networks across Europe, Asia, and the Americas have already committed billions of dollars for the right to show matches. These agreements are based on projections about audience size and global interest. Those projections assume that the biggest football nations will participate as usual. If uncertainty begins to appear around participation, even at an early stage, financial analysts and legal teams within broadcasting companies start paying close attention. A World Cup without several major European teams would look very different from the tournament currently planned. Sponsors face similar concerns. Large multinational companies invest enormous amounts of money in World Cup partnerships because the event guarantees unmatched global exposure. Marketing campaigns connected to the tournament are often prepared years in advance. Advertising budgets are calculated based on expected audience numbers and the involvement of the world's most popular national teams. If those assumptions change, companies may begin reconsidering their strategies. At the same time, reactions from other football federations have been cautious but noticeable. In Denmark, officials acknowledged publicly that the situation deserves careful evaluation. French football authorities avoided making unconditional commitments about participation. Media discussions in the United Kingdom have increasingly explored the idea of boycott scenarios, even if no official decisions have been made. The change in tone has been subtle but important. Instead of assuming participation as automatic, some football institutions are beginning to treat it as a decision that could depend on broader political conditions. That shift reflects the growing recognition that major sporting events operate within a global environment shaped by diplomacy, immigration policies, and international relations. One specific issue that has received attention involves travel and visa policies connected to the tournament. The United States will host the majority of matches during the 2026 World Cup. While Canada and Mexico are also official co-hosts, most stadiums and key events are located in American cities. For millions of international supporters, traveling to the United States will be necessary if they want to attend matches. Supporters from some countries have expressed concern about whether visa procedures and entry requirements will allow them to travel easily. In recent years, diplomatic tensions between certain governments in the United States have sometimes affected travel rules. Fans from nations facing restrictions worry that they could experience delays or difficulties when applying for entry permits. For supporters who save money for years to attend a World Cup, uncertainty about travel creates understandable anxiety. Football fans often see the tournament as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to watch their national team on the sport's biggest stage. If they fear that they may not be able to enter the host country, many may decide not to travel at all. Some commentators inside the football world have also raised concerns about how immigration enforcement policies might affect international visitors. They argue that hosting the world's largest sporting event requires clear assurances that supporters from all participating nations will be welcomed without unnecessary complications. Officials in Canada and Mexico have responded to the debate with a different tone. Rather than focusing on controversy, both countries have emphasized stability and preparation. Canadian authorities have highlighted infrastructure investments and transportation plans designed to accommodate large numbers of visitors. Mexican organizers have pointed to the country's long history of successfully hosting major football tournaments. Both nations appear determined to present themselves as reliable partners, capable of ensuring that the event proceeds smoothly. The United States, meanwhile, continues preparing for what it hopes will be a historic global celebration of football. American stadium infrastructure is among the most advanced in the world, with large venues capable of hosting massive crowds and major international events. President Donald Trump, who is the current president of the United States, has repeatedly emphasized the importance of showcasing the country's capacity to host global events successfully. The administration has stated that the World Cup represents an opportunity to demonstrate American hospitality, economic strength, and organizational capability on an international stage. For organizers, maintaining confidence among international partners is essential. The greatest risk facing the tournament is not a sudden mass withdrawal of teams. Instead, experts say the more realistic challenge would be a gradual erosion of confidence. If enough federations begin expressing hesitation, sponsors and broadcasters could start re-evaluating their commitments. Even the perception of instability can influence how companies and governments plan for large international events. In Germany, the conversation that started this debate continues to evolve. Officials within the German Football Association have clarified that no decision about participation has been made. However, they maintain that discussing the issue openly is necessary in a world where sport and politics increasingly intersect. Some voices inside European football argue that remaining silent about political developments could itself be interpreted as taking a position. Others insist that sporting competitions should remain strictly separated from international disputes. This disagreement reflects a broader question facing global sports organizations today. For decades, institutions like FIFA promoted the idea that football could function as neutral ground where political tensions disappeared. In practice, however, international tournaments depend on cooperation between governments, travel systems, security agencies, and diplomatic relationships. When those systems face strain, the impact can reach the world of sport. The 2026 World Cup was designed to symbolize unity across continents. With matches played in the United States, Canada, and Mexico, the tournament aimed to demonstrate cooperation between nations and celebrate football's expanding global reach. Instead, it has become a test of how international sport operates in a world where geopolitical tensions are difficult to ignore. Germany has not announced a boycott. No major football nation has officially withdrawn from the tournament. The stadiums remain scheduled, the teams continue preparing for qualification matches, and FIFA maintains confidence that the event will proceed as planned. Yet one important change has already occurred. A question that once seemed unthinkable has entered the conversation. If political conditions surrounding a host country create uncertainty, should national teams reconsider participation in global tournaments? That question alone has forced administrators, sponsors, and governments to examine the foundations of modern international sport. For FIFA, the challenge will be preserving the idea that the World Cup represents a shared global celebration, rather than a stage for geopolitical disputes. For host nations, the responsibility involves ensuring that every team, official, and supporter feels welcome and able to participate without obstacles. And for football fans around the world, the hope remains that the game itself will stay at the center of the tournament. In the coming months, decisions made by governments, football federations, and international institutions will shape how the 2026 World Cup ultimately unfolds. Whether the tournament becomes the largest celebration in football history or a moment defined by political controversy will depend on how those choices evolve. For now, the matches are still scheduled, the stadium lights are ready, and the world continues preparing for kickoff. But the conversation surrounding the tournament has already changed. The World Cup was designed to show the strength and unity of global football. Instead, it may soon reveal how closely sport, politics, and international power have become connected in the modern world.